Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Shannon Razadin. I'm the CEO of the Military Family Advisory Network, and it is my honor to welcome you here today as we release the findings from the 2023 Military Family Support Programming Survey. For those of you who know MFAN, you know that data is at the center of all we do, and this research is our foundation. This research is designed not only to uncover the big picture, but also take a look at the nuanced experiences of military families and how these issues are connected. We intend to answer the questions, so what and now what, throughout the survey as we really work to understand the well-being of military and veteran families and what we collectively as a community can do to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to achieve well-being as they define it. I want to give a huge shout out to the MFAN team for all of their work leading up to this event. A special shout out to our Insights team who worked tirelessly over the last year to design a survey that is not only IRB approved, but also keeps up with the methodological rigor that our team is known for. Thank you for handling every single response with the dignity and care it deserves. And thank you for the work that you will do in the months ahead as we dig deeper. This report truly is the tip of the iceberg, and there is so much more that we can learn from this body of work. So thank you to the entire MFAN team. I also want to say thank you to the incredible partners and sponsors who really make this work possible. To our presenting sponsor at Oracle Health, thank you. You have been supporting the survey since 2019, and your investment in understanding the experiences of military and veteran families has really enabled so much positive impact. To Amazon, Wells Fargo, Wounded Warrior Project, Deloitte, CVS Health, the Association of Military Banks of America, and Magellan Federal, thank you for your continued support and partnership. I would now like to invite Dr. James Elzey to share a few words. Dr. Elzey is the Chief Health Officer at Oracle and provides strategic clinical direction for Oracle's U.S. federal business. Prior to joining Oracle, he completed 26 years of federal service, with 22 of those being in active military service. He is board certified in family medicine, clinical informatics, and medical quality. Dr. Elzey's professional purpose is to improve the health of all humans by improving the way that healthcare is administered. Dr. Elzey.
In an era of unprecedented availability of data and information, it is easy to forget that every data point and number represents a person, a family, or a community. Oracle Health is proud to partner with MFAN to ensure the voices and experiences of our service members, military spouses, and their families are captured, reported, and leveraged to make informed policy decisions. Surveys like this are leveraged by federal agencies, Congress, and the White House to identify the challenges our military families face and to shape and fund policy that solves them. But the benefits do not end there. Oracle Health has and will continue to leverage this data to improve our own products and services. In the past, we took direct feedback from military families to make improvements to our patient portal and other products that are being leveraged by DoD and VA. The feedback of military families in this survey provides all of us critical insights to the whole health of a military family and those things that contribute to both wellness and crisis. As an example, those who reported positive and very positive satisfaction with both healthcare and mental health care experiences were significantly more likely to have excellent family well-being and significantly less likely to have poor family health, tying into the overall intersection of family well-being across the full report. On behalf of MFAN, Oracle Health, and all our partners who made this report possible, I want to thank the military family members who took the time to share their stories and experiences. For without your voice, change would not be possible.
Thank you so much for your partnership and continued support. Now it's time for the main event. I am so honored to introduce Dr. Gabby L'Esperance, MFAN's Director of Insights. Thank you so much, Gabby, and take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Gabby Lesbrance. It's such an honor to be with you all today to share the findings from our 2023 Military Family Support Programming Survey. Let's get started. For more than a decade, MVAN has taken an ear-to-the-ground approach to understanding the lived experiences of military and veteran families, hearing directly from military-connected families, convening stakeholders around key issues, and conducting groundbreaking research into the core issues which impact military and veteran families. Additionally, it's important that our work takes a look comprehensively at all experiences, both positive and negative. We dive below the surface to understand micro and macro experiences with the goal of discovering actionable findings that support our collective mission to ensure that our military community thrives. These efforts are critical as we work to understand the needs of a new generation of military families, ensuring the long-term viability of our all-volunteer force. To that end, the fifth iteration of the Military Family Support Programming Survey is framed around four key pillars of military and veteran family well-being: healthy bodies, healthy families, healthy homes, and healthy futures. We'll review findings in each of these pillars and explore the topics that fall within them in just a few short minutes. To best amplify the voices of military-connected families, we adopt a rigorous mixed methods approach, using both quantitative and qualitative best practice in all of the research we conduct. The Support Programming Survey is no different. After receiving Institutional Review Board approval for the project for the first time, the fifth iteration of the survey was fielded from October 2nd to December 10th of 2023. MVAN's Insights team of in-house doctoral-level researchers took the time to read responses to every single question on the survey, underscoring our commitment to data stewardship and authentically understanding the military family population's lived experiences. Our team carefully analyzed 10,149 responses using Qualtrics data analysis software. Due to complex branching logic, every question in the survey yields a different response rate. The findings we'll share today represent the experiences of military and veteran family respondents at the time of survey fielding. When we explore our qualitative findings, the frequencies of themes is expressed as manifest effects, which may equal more than 100%. This indicates that a quote contains more than one theme. The percentages you'll see throughout the qualitative analysis reflect the total proportion of responses to a single question, which include a specific theme. It's important to remember that the military and veteran community is a microcosm of the broader population, and that's why this work is so important. Not only do we learn about the broad experiences and how our community fares in comparison to other populations, but we also understand the nuances. To that end, I'd like to introduce you to our respondents. To complete the survey, respondents had to identify a connection to military life. In 2023, respondents most commonly identified as spouses of active duty service members at 38.9%, followed by veterans at 18.6%, and active duty service members themselves at 10.9%. Respondents were then asked a series of questions regarding their military journey. These questions asked respondents to specify aspects of their or their service members' connection to military life, including branch, rank, and era of service. 45.7% of all respondents indicated that they or their spouse were in the Army, followed by the Navy and Air Force. We're proud to say that our survey continuously captures the lived experiences of enlisted service members and their families. These families comprise 76.4% of our sample this year, with 47.2% of respondents being E4 to E6. The officer community comprises 18.7% of the sample. For the first time in 2023, MVAN asked respondents to specify their era of service. When asked which era of service encapsulated the majority of a service member's career, most respondents, 63.4%, said post-9/11 era, followed by the Persian Gulf War era. Respondents were then asked a series of questions pertaining to their own demographic makeup, like race, ethnicity, age, gender, and family composition. The two largest groups of respondents were white at 75.8% or Black or African American at 9.9% of the survey response. And of the total population, 13.6% of respondents identified as Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin. Nearly a quarter of respondents at 24.8% were between the ages of 25 and 34, and more than half, 60.3%, were female, followed by 37.8% of respondents who identified as male. We also have a wealth of information regarding the geographic location of respondents. In particular, we heard most often from families in Virginia, Texas, California, Washington State, and North Carolina. The families I just described shared vulnerable moments, impactful quotes, details about their experiences, and information about their well-being around our 4 pillars. None of this research would be possible without these families' willingness to share. Thank you. As we did in 2021, MFAN integrated the Family Health Scale into our 2023 Support Programming Survey. The Family Health Scale, a validated measure of family well-being, is a 10-question scale that captures the health of the family unit by measuring dimensions of family health, including family relationships, healthcare, lifestyle, financial health, and housing. Due to the overlap of scale measures with MFAN's pre-existing body of research and the importance of each of these dimensions in larger conversations within the military family space, this scale consistently yields insightful findings and a framework for discussion around military and veteran family support programming needs. The Family Health Scale measures family well-being at 3 levels. Respondents who affirmatively respond to less than 5 of the scale statements have poor family health. Respondents who answer 6, 7, or 8 of the statements affirmatively display moderate family health. And finally, respondents who share 9 or 10 affirmative statements display excellent family health. In 2023, respondents indicated high levels of excellent at 27.9% and moderate at 45.6% family well-being. The remaining 26.5% of respondents indicated poor family well-being. Unfortunately, this finding marks a significant shift from the family well-being findings in 2021, where 41.3% of respondents indicated excellent family health, 44.7% of respondents indicated moderate family health, and only 14% of respondents indicated poor family health. In the past 2 years, the proportion of respondents who indicated poor family health or well-being has grown nearly 90%. Given the importance that well-being holds in the lives of military and veteran family respondents, for the first time in 2023, we asked those respondents to define what family well-being meant to them in their own words. Many themes and sub-themes appeared throughout the qualitative responses, but families consistently told us that family well-being was the presence of mental and emotional health, basic needs, security and safety, good overall health, family unity and support, and that it quite literally meant everything to them. One active duty Navy spouse summarized the sentiments weaving through our qualitative responses as depicted on your screen. When analyzing findings, our research team determined a statistically significant connection between family well-being as defined by the Family Health Scale and the propensity to recommend military service. To share more about that, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, Dr. Shanna Smith, Associate Director of Research, to help share these findings. Shanna.
Thank you, Gabby. It's an honor to be with you all today. Again, I'm Dr. Shanna Smith, and I'm really excited to delve into these findings with you all. In each iteration of the Support Programming Survey, MFAN asked respondents if they would recommend a career in the military to someone who was considering it. Through the challenges and joys, frustrations and pride, most respondents, 57.6%, still recommend military life. Nevertheless, the propensity to recommend military life has declined over time. As you can see on the screen, the 2023 finding is lower than in 2021 at 62.9% and considerably lower than in 2019 at 74.5%. As in previous years, MFAN asked the same question of a representative sample of civilian respondents. In 2023, we partnered again with Force Marsh, a leading third-party research firm, to field this poll at the same time that our 2023 Support Programming Survey was in the field. This allowed MFAN to draw important comparisons between military-connected and civilian perceptions. Findings from the civilian population sample indicated that 50% of civilian respondents would recommend military life to someone that they care about, marking an 8.5% increase since 2021. What's more important to understand and what MFAN's data seeks to do is to answer the questions why, when, and among whom. Across the full sample of 2023 survey respondents, coupled with the Family Health Scale that Gabby just described, MFAN ran statistical analysis to describe and understand which subpopulations or personas were most likely and least likely to recommend military life. As seen on the screen, unsurprisingly, those respondents with poor or moderate family health were significantly less likely to recommend military life than those with excellent family health. When examining specific subgroups, I do want to call attention to the largest group of military families overall, enlisted families and families with children under the age of 18. Both of these groups were less likely to report excellent family health and consequently less likely to recommend military life. As we move throughout the remainder of the program today, we will discuss these diverging experiences in each of the 4 pillars that Gabby mentioned. To begin, we'll discuss the healthy bodies pillar. Encompassing more than just a health status, the healthy bodies pillar includes considerations to better understand and support the physical, mental, and emotional health goals of military-connected respondents and their families. Specifically, in this section, we explored experiences and preferences in healthcare, mental health care, and food security. We are now going to take you through our respondents' journey with their healthcare experiences. Consistent with the 2021 findings, in 2023, respondents who indicated positive and very positive care experiences were significantly more likely to have excellent family health, whereas respondents who indicated negative, very negative, and neutral experiences were more likely to have poor family health. Retiree, veteran, and Reserve and National Guard family respondents showed the highest levels of healthcare satisfaction since we started measuring this in 2019. However, our active duty family respondents reported the lowest levels of satisfaction, especially around access to appointments and their ability to maintain consistent medical care. When examined by rank, we found that officer family respondents were more likely to be satisfied with the quality of their care providers and their care received, but were also more likely to be dissatisfied with consistency of care and access to appointments. Enlisted families were somewhat more likely to report negative satisfaction with the care that they received and more likely to report neutral satisfaction across all other areas. Finally, multiracial respondents were more likely to be dissatisfied across areas of healthcare satisfaction, reflecting care challenges that do need further examination. When we asked respondents where they received the majority of their health care, 57.7% of active duty family respondents reported receiving the majority of their care at a military treatment facility or an MTF. This represents a 13% decrease from 2021. The respondents who received most of their care at an MTF were also more likely to report very negative or negative experiences across all levels of measured healthcare satisfaction. Meanwhile, our retiree and veteran family respondents reported receiving most of their care at the VA in 2023, which marks an increase from 2021. These respondents were more likely to report positive or very positive experiences across all levels of measured healthcare satisfaction. Unsurprisingly, our Reserve and National Guard family respondents were most likely to report receiving most of their health care in the private sector. These respondents were more likely to report positive or very positive experiences across all levels of measured healthcare satisfaction. In 2023, regardless of persona, the most commonly reported obstacles to healthcare were a reported lack of appointments, challenges with provider availability, and challenges obtaining referrals. Interestingly, the proportion of respondents who cited challenges accessing specialty care increased considerably from 2021, where it was a key qualitative theme in our data. Now we will specifically look at mental health care experiences. Poor family health was connected to negative, very negative, and sometimes neutral mental health satisfaction scores. This connection is critical in light of a considerable increase in usage of mental health services at nearly 60% in 2023, up from 46% in 2021. Fortunately, a quarter of respondents said that they did not encounter obstacles to accessing mental health care. For those who did, they most frequently faced a lack of provider availability as captured in the graphic on the screen. These findings mimic the obstacles that our respondents faced to accessing general health care as well. Respondents who described barriers conveyed a general lack of availability of care, particularly for specialized treatment such as pediatric care, medical management, and trauma therapy. According to respondents, providers who accept TRICARE and have availability are certainly in short supply. Faced with multiple barriers and/or crises that cannot wait, many respondents resorted to paying out of pocket. Those who cannot afford the cost of mental health care reported going without the help and support that is much needed. Now we will transition to the topic of loneliness, which is closely connected to mental health and family well-being. Since 2019, our survey has utilized the UCLA Loneliness Scale to deepen understanding of military and veteran family experiences. This 9-point scale indicates loneliness if respondents score 6 or higher. Analyzing this scale certainly provides standalone findings, but it also adds dimension to other areas of our research as well. In 2023, the proportion of respondents reporting loneliness increased slightly to 59% from 54% in 2021. Even more striking is the nearly 65% of currently serving family respondents who reported loneliness. Other populations that were more likely to report loneliness included active duty spouses and single parents. Respondents who do not report loneliness are significantly more likely to have excellent family health. Conversely, respondents who reported loneliness are more likely to report moderate or poor family health. Narrowing the focus now to serious and sensitive topics such as emergency mental health care and suicidal ideation. Since 2019, MFAN asked respondents about their experiences accessing care in a mental health crisis. In 2023, the majority, 83.9% of respondents reported not accessing these emergency services in the past 2 years, as opposed to the 12.1% of respondents who did access these emergency mental health resources. As you can see on the screen, the proportion of those accessing emergency mental health care has fluctuated over time, rising in 2023 from the decline seen between 2019 at 14.6% and 2021 at 10.5%. When MFAN asked respondents if they had thoughts about suicide in the past 2 years, unfortunately, a tenth, 11.9% of respondents indicated that they had, which is twice as many as the full US population. Among subpopulations, veterans and activated reserve members were more likely to report recent suicidal ideation than other populations in our sample. These serious findings indicate that more research and work in this area is much needed and should continue to be explored. Switching gears, as mentioned, the Healthy Bodies pillar encompasses so much. It includes the necessary means to fuel our bodies as well. And this brings us to the topic of food insecurity. MFAN has led the charge on identifying, measuring, understanding, and combating food insecurity in the military space since 2017. We measure this utilizing the USDA 6-item short-form food security scale, and the survey asked respondents a series of questions regarding their food situation. Even one affirmative answer indicates some level of food insecurity. 2, 3, or 4 affirmative answers indicate low food security, and 5 or 6 affirmative answers indicate very low food security, as you can see here on the screen. In 2023, 1 in 5 military and veteran family respondents indicated some level of food insecurity. When looking at the active duty family population, this number rose to more than 1 in 4. In 2023, the persona statistically most likely to experience struggles with food insecurity can be seen here on your screen. Due to its connection with other challenges in military life, food insecurity is directly tied to family well-being and, in turn, the propensity to recommend military life. 40% of respondents who indicated poor family well-being, as measured by the Family Health Scale, were also experiencing marginal, low, or very low food security. Meanwhile, only 12.4% of respondents who indicated excellent family well-being experienced any level of food insecurity. In the 2023 iteration of the Support Programming Survey, the causal factors of food insecurity that MFAN discovered were quantitatively measured for the very first time. These findings were analyzed for active duty family respondents, and they really paint a clear picture of the personas significantly more likely to report very low food security. These personas are seen here on the screen and include respondents who experienced a recent financial emergency, respondents who experienced a disruptive community event or community incident, such as severe weather in the past 2 years, respondents who reported military spouse unemployment, or even spouses that reported working part-time, those respondents who indicated that they had a child within the last 12 months, and those families who recently conducted a permanent change of station or PCS move. And this finding is particularly concerning when we consider the frequency of PCS moves for military families. These findings suggest that combining any of these situations into a single family's experience can really catalyze or compound the experiences of food insecurity. It certainly warrants additional research to understand the compounding impacts which continue to drive food insecurity within our population. Now we'll take a look at a special message from a military family who will bring these findings to life by sharing their own lived experience. Please take a look at the screen.
Hi, my name is Carla Vasquez Angeles. I have been a military spouse for 15 years. My husband is retired Navy. I am a third generation military spouse. My mother was a military spouse and my grandmother was a military spouse. I have a lot of pride in my husband's service, but I faced a lot of challenges when it came to employment and education and accessing healthcare for my child. I had very difficult experiences, especially as it relates to having a child with disabilities. Moving, being assigned to a medical treatment facility, waiting for an appointment with that provider, getting a referral, getting prior authorization, locating a provider with that specialty, then getting on that wait list, finding out if those services qualify, beginning services, sometimes waiting weeks or months for your child to get the services they need, and then that provider going out of network or not renewing their contract because of difficulties they face with their own, relationship with that TRICARE. So it's been extremely difficult. It was ongoing, and then when you PCS and you move, you start all over, and it can be an absolute nightmare. It's important for me as a Latina woman, as the wife of an enlisted service member, to be a role model for others who might not have the opportunities or face challenges, and put my experiences in a form that can be known and that can be studied and can be researched for solution-focused approaches to addressing these issues.
Hi, my name is Amanda Kibble. I'm a military spouse. My husband's in the Mississippi National Guard, and he's been in the Mississippi National Guard for 11 years now. While I am appreciative of some of the things that come with being a National Guard spouse, because there are a lot of things, it's community service. It's not always about what you can get, it's about what you can give to your community. There are also times when your community has to realize that you can only give so much before you have to start asking for something back. And with National Guard families, we see that in situations like education. We see that with insurance, with dental care. And that's the whole reason that I did this survey. I wanted to talk about the things that are being not necessarily ignored, but being unevaluated, or maybe it's just a significant blind spot.
Next, we'll explore our healthy families pillar. The well-being of military families is linked to interpersonal dynamics, which intersect with separations, home responsibilities, and health statuses. The healthy families pillar investigates whole family wellness and its relationship to recommending military life. MFAN's 2023 sample held a higher proportion of married couples and families with children. The single largest group of respondents to the survey was married at 81.8%. The remaining 18.9% of respondents were divorced, never married, widowed, or separated. Of currently serving respondents, 91.7% were currently married, and 74.6% had children. More than half of our full survey sample, at 54.4%, reported children or stepchildren under the age of 18. Only 8.8% indicated that they came from a multi-generational or extended family household, and most respondents, at 70.8% of the sample, had between 2 and 4 people living in their home. We also focused on accounting for a variety of family dynamics, such as unmarried partners, LGBTQ+ individuals and family members, dual military couples, and households with extended families not considered to be dependents by the Department of Defense. These small but notable proportions of the 2023 sample include single parents at 6%, male spouses at 7.1%, and unmarried partners at 0.7% of the sample. About 10%, 11.5 specifically, of the respondent population to the 2023 Military Family Support Programming Survey were in dual military families, and half of those dual military families, at 49.5%, were dual military families with children. We asked all respondents to tell us more about their family relationships, which we've been studying since 2013. Respondents were asked an open-ended question about the impact of military life on their family relationships, and framed broadly, respondents told us about their extended families and their immediate families. Like previous iterations of our survey, top themes reinforce the fact that respondents feel like military life is hard on their families. In the top theme, respondents shared stories of strained family relationships and family members who do not support them or understand their military lifestyle and experiences. They explained communication challenges stemming from military life and frequently mentioned physical and emotional separation as an impact. The least frequently mentioned but crucially important theme was positive family dynamics, where respondents mentioned strong or strengthened family bonds, positive aspects of communication and connection, and comments indicating that relationships were improving. They explained how their families were able to overcome hurdles and work through challenges they faced. Despite the many challenges that military family relationships may face, the lifestyle brings about strengths. Strong statistical relationships emerged when themes respondents shared in their own words were examined alongside the family health scale. Respondents who shared stories captured in the challenging themes were more likely to have poor family health. Conversely, respondents who shared stories of positive family dynamics were more likely to have excellent family health. Interestingly, married respondents were significantly more likely to experience excellent or moderate family health than those who were never married or those who were previously married. Since 2017, the proportion of MFAN respondents who would recommend marriage to a service member to someone considering it has declined. 75% in 2017, 63.6% in 2019, and 61.2% in 2021, and finally 59.6% in 2023. For the first time this year, we asked about the timing of marriage to better understand family experiences. 68.3% of respondents married during military service. 30.2% of married respondents married before service began, and only 1.5% of respondents indicated that they had married their service member after their military career had ended. Contextualizing findings alongside the timing of marriage showed that a slightly higher proportion of those who were married during service highlighted challenges within their home. Positive relationship dynamics were slightly more likely to have been reported by those who married before military service began. Unfortunately, married respondents told us about the challenges in their marriages connected to military life. They shared stories of arguments, growing apart, or divorce that intersected with separations, moves, and the uncertainty of military life. They explained that these stressors were challenging, and the frequency at which they faced them compounded issues in their relationships. This sentiment is contextualized by the respondent quote you see on your screen. Military families told us about the things that they'd lost in their lives: support, connection, and opportunities, and the disappointment and resentment that followed. They reported insufficient military pay and struggles to meet basic needs, where many included spouse employment as a key challenge. Nearly a fifth of married respondents, 19.8%, shared stories of improved connection and communication, their strengthened bond, and that they were a strong team. While some indicated that the hardships were there to navigate, they also reported the ability to overcome. But it's important to realize that the impacts of this lifestyle are also felt by military children. Therefore, we expanded our line of questioning around their experiences in 2023 to dig a little bit deeper. A primary concern for all parents is access to childcare, and the military is no different. Military families have the added nuance of separation from extended networks, which adds to the complexity of this issue. 45.5% of the full sample of survey respondents with children have a current need for childcare, but the need for childcare was significantly higher for currently serving families in 2023 than other subpopulations at 51.6%. MFAN respondents were asked to share childcare needs and the childcare services they currently use. After-hours care, evening or early morning hours is the most frequently noted need for childcare at 16.2%. Meanwhile, after-school care is the most frequently used form of childcare at 18.5%, as you can see here on your screen. Across the board, enlisted family respondents were more likely to report a need for each of these types of childcare than their officer family counterparts. In addition, the survey respondents were asked to rate childcare satisfaction in 5 areas: experiences seeking or securing childcare, quality of childcare provided, the location of childcare, and the hours of childcare available, and finally, the costs and fees associated with childcare. Respondents most frequently indicated satisfaction with the quality of childcare and location of childcare, and dissatisfaction with their experiences seeking and securing childcare and childcare costs and fees. Respondents who reported satisfaction across each area of childcare were statistically more likely to experience excellent family well-being, whereas reported levels of dissatisfaction were linked to poor and moderate family well-being. Enlisted family respondents were significantly more likely to be dissatisfied across areas of satisfaction with childcare, while officer family respondents were significantly more likely to be satisfied across all areas, except seeking and securing childcare, which they most often rated neutrally. In the past 2 years, 15.7% of actively serving family respondents had used the flexible spending account for childcare, preschool, before or after school care, or summer camp, which was announced by the Department of Defense on August 3rd, 2023, 8 weeks prior to survey fielding. 13% of actively serving family respondents had used the Military Childcare in Your Neighborhood Plus program, and 18.4% of actively serving family respondents had used the Military Childcare Subsidy. About half of all actively serving family respondents indicated that they were unfamiliar with the flexible spending account for childcare costs, the Military Childcare in Your Neighborhood Plus program, and the Military Childcare Subsidy. Military parents, like their civilian peers, desire a range of support and resources for their children. We asked parent respondents to share their desired supports, indicating low, moderate, and high priority support needs. Respondents most frequently indicated a desire for high-quality schools, more affordable out-of-school programs, enhanced or affordable recreational facilities, better healthcare, and finally, financial support to meet basic needs. But another critical component of our Healthy Families pillar is military caregiving. In 2023, 6.8% of active duty family respondents and 18.9% of veteran or retiree family respondents reported providing care for an ill, wounded, injured, or otherwise impaired service member. About half of our caregiving respondents, at 48.6%, provided care to their spouse. A nearly equal number of caregiving respondents reported that they had been providing care for 2 years at 39.2%, or more than 5 years at 38.8%. Unfortunately, caregiving respondents were significantly less likely to report excellent family well-being and significantly more likely to report poor family well-being. Given the incidence of poor family well-being within this caregiving population, easing access to support is critical. To better understand what caregivers need, this group of respondents were asked whether they currently receive support tailored to fit their unique needs. And about half of caregiving respondents reported receiving support from their family or their friends. But a third of caregiving respondents, at 30.1%, said they received no support at all. Caregivers were asked if they faced any barriers to accessing support services, and nearly a fifth, at 16.6% of our caregivers, indicate that they did not experience barriers to accessing support in the past 2 years. Those who did experience barriers struggled with the cost, the level of effort required to secure support, the lack of awareness about caregiving support that was available, and having insufficient information on how to obtain support. And finally, when we think about family dynamics, it's impossible to overlook our EF&P and S&P families. The Exceptional Family Member Program and Special Needs Program provide crucial support for military family members. Of active duty survey respondents, 28.8% said that they had a family member who was currently eligible for enrollment in either EF&P or S&P. Of those family respondents who had eligible family members, half, at 51.4%, had at least one family member who is currently enrolled in either program. To better understand program experiences, respondents with enrolled family members were asked to rate their experiences from positive to negative, and a quarter, at 25.1% of respondents who had an enrolled family member, indicated that they had a positive or very positive experience with the program. The remaining respondents reported a neutral experience at 35.7%, or negative or very negative experiences at 19.1%. No matter their experience with EF&P or S&P programming, respondents were asked to provide suggestions for improvement. The primary theme suggests that EF&P programs need to be significantly modified to best serve families' needs. Take a listen to what this military family has to say.
Hi, my name is Joanna Nicoletti, and I am a military spouse. We're a unique family. My wife is Black, Korean, and white. We have a multiracial child, and this is our third duty station, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And we have definitely experienced the ups and downs of living in not so diverse areas of the country and having to navigate that as a non-traditional military family. My wife deployed, and my son behaviorally and emotionally deteriorated in ways that I was not prepared for as a parent. He was diagnosed with severe separation anxiety. He regressed in speech. He regressed in potty training. I was on the phone with my wife kind of going through, what do we do here? And I said to her, I feel like we're losing our child and I don't know what to do. And, everyone told me to get the books and get the stuffed animals and get the mommy daddy dolls. And that didn't really account for the loss that my son felt, because we are so equal now in our parenting because of that increase in spousal employment, which is great, but it does come now with this shift in dynamic in the home. I like to think of it as we have an opportunity as a unique military family, as a non-traditional family, to create really meaningful change and to be that voice for other families that just may not have the ability to be a voice right now. I find it just very important to advocate. And so I consider it a challenge, but I don't feel like it's necessarily something that's stacked against me.
Hi, my name is Megan Brown. I'm a military spouse to an active duty Army service member. When you have to pick up your family and leave where you have just felt like you finally settled and built a community, it can be really challenging. A lot of it comes down to your own personal attitude. So that's why the parents' mental health is critical, meaning the service member and the spouse. Our health and well-being is critical so that we can be there to support our children during these multiple transitions. My son actually turned 7 during this PCS, and he wasn't around any friends. So that was a really kind of emotional and challenging moment, to be separated from the community that we had built over the last couple of years, and to be celebrating a birthday without any of our community around. Everything that we do gives purpose either directly to the lives that we were bringing up and seeing our children understand the sacrifices, but the pure joy and pride that we have in this life. And it's also super meaningful knowing that when I'm giving to the military community, I'm also instilling that same kind of pride and improvement in the life and just growth in future military spouses and future military families.
Now we will look at the Healthy Homes Pillar. The Healthy Homes Pillar supports families navigating the challenges of military moves and connects families who are navigating housing both on and off installation with the resources that they need. In this section, we will discuss permanent change of station, or PCS, housing burden, and military housing. Conducting a PCS move is a common and familiar part of military life, and slightly over half, 54.8%, of respondents indicated that they moved within the past 2 years due to military orders. Given the frequency of military moves, a deeper investigation of the connection between PCS and family well-being is certainly warranted. Respondents who recently PCS were significantly more likely to report poor family health than families who had not moved within the past 2 years. The significance of these findings are presented here on the screen. To gain an understanding of the most recent experiences, Respondents who had moved in the past 2 years were asked about their PCS experiences at 2 different levels: the financial impact and the family impact, which really gets us to what the total cost of PCSing really is. Respondents were asked the approximate amount that they paid out of pocket for moving expenses beyond what was reimbursed by the military during their most recent move. In both 2021 and 2023, most respondents reported spending between $500 and $1,000 out of pocket on moving expenses over what was reimbursed by the military. In 2023, the most common unreimbursed moving expenses were temporary lodging, vehicle rentals, and utility deposits. Housing waiting lists and the length of time spent in temporary lodging certainly added to the financial impact of a PCS. In 2023, most respondents, 33.7%, reported staying in temporary lodging less than 10 nights while waiting for military housing to become available. However, 29.2% of respondents reported staying in temporary lodging between 11 and 30 nights, and another 20.6% of respondents between 31 and 60 nights. The 12.5% of respondents who described their moving expenses incurred as other brought to light some additional challenges to consider, such as purchasing meals during their move, vehicle maintenance and fuel costs, replacing food and cleaning supplies, and furniture and appliance purchases in the next duty location. Regarding the expenses that were reimbursed by the military, most respondents, 43%, indicated that the reimbursement process took between 1 and 2 months. Aside from the financial aspects of moving, MFAN asked respondents about the other ways that a PCS move impacts their family. In 2023, most respondents expressed that moving has the greatest impact on their children's education, social life, and adjustment to a new location. Respondents also indicated that moving impacts the entire family's mental health and their well-being, oftentimes causing stress, depression, anxiety, loneliness, which we covered earlier, and even adjustment disorder. Respondents also shared that military spouse employment is impacted because many spouses must leave their existing jobs and their companies, start the job hunt all over again, and are concerned with the loss of career progression and household income. Respondents implied that their extended family relationships are strained due to the lack of connection and often living far away. And lastly, respondents shared that their sense of community is disrupted due to leaving friends, having to make new friends, and establishing support mechanisms in their next duty location. Respondents who indicated that their most recent PCS took place within the last 2 years were asked about their experiences in finding a place to live. Slightly over half rated their experience in finding a place to live as difficult or very difficult. And as we transition to housing, this is exceptionally important. In 2023, MFAN once again included the HUD Housing Burden Scale. This scale asks respondents what percentage of their household income is spent on rent or mortgage and utilities. This scale specifies that families experience a housing burden when housing expenses comprise 30% or more of their household income. The Support Programming Survey asked respondents to include military compensation and allowances in their calculations if applicable. Spending more than 30% on household income on these items indicates a housing burden, but spending more than 50% on these items indicates a severe housing burden. In 2023, 20.2% of all survey respondents did not report a housing burden, but this indicates that nearly 80% of respondents were carrying the burden of paying more than they can comfortably afford to cover housing, rent, or utility payments, including allowances for those who receive them. In 2023, 82.4% of currently serving family respondents experienced housing burden, but nearly half, 47.5%, were severely housing burden, which is higher than our 2021 number. Enlisted family respondents were also more likely to experience severe housing burden than their officer family counterparts. And similar to 2021, retiree families were less likely to experience housing burden, especially severe housing burden, than our currently serving family population. There was a statistically significant relationship between family well-being and housing burden. Respondents who were not housing burden were more likely to have excellent family health, whereas respondents experiencing severe housing burden were significantly more likely to experience moderate or poor family health. Now we're going to specifically look at military housing experiences. In 2023, nearly 40% of active duty family respondents reported that they were living in military housing. Respondents who indicated that they were living in military housing were asked why they chose to live on installation, as they were asked in every previous iteration of our survey. Many of the same reasons appear year after year. However, interestingly, in 2023, the top reasons respondents chose to live in military housing were strongly indicative of the economy, cost of living, housing demand, and also overall market conditions, as you can see here on the screen. The same question was asked of respondents who chose not to live in military housing, and there was another significant change in 2023, pointing again to housing demand and the lack of military housing available. According to respondents, the second most common reason for living off installation were the advantages of home ownership. Respondents who lived in privatized military housing were asked if they noticed a change in their housing experiences, since this issue really gained national attention over the last several years. For the majority of respondents, 58.5%, conditions were unchanged, and the rates seen here on the screen largely aligned with the perceived changes to privatized military housing found in 2021. Finally, respondents were asked if they were aware of and had used the Military Housing Privatization Initiative's Tenant Bill of Rights. Overall, 45.6% were aware of the Tenant Bill of Rights, and 8.5% of those individuals had experience using it. For the first time in 2023, MFAN asked those who had exercised the Tenant Bill of Rights to describe their experiences. Many of these respondents felt that the Tenant Bill of Rights was not upheld, with reports of management contract or policy limitations, as well as language or changes that limited the rights that residents thought that they had. Next, we'll hear from another military family member who will bring these findings to life. Take a look at the screen.
I'm Keita Brock. I am a veteran spouse to a retired Air Force service member. My first duty station with my spouse was overseas, and that was my first time ever traveling overseas. So it's like you uproot your whole entire life, and now you're going to a completely different place where you have no friends, no family, but you learn to adapt. You learn to make friends as best as you can. You learn to just engulf yourself into the culture, if you will, and just try to make the best of it.
Family well-being requires that we address the challenges of today and plan for thriving in the future. Our final pillar addresses the foundations of a healthy future, including financial readiness, planning, education, employment, and transition. In 2023, we deepened our data collection and analysis by introducing our respondents to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB's Financial Wellbeing Scale. CFPB doesn't provide a suggested interpretation for the scale, instead suggesting that categorizations be formed after studying responses to a specific dataset. For that reason, MFAN's Insights team decided to sort scores into quartiles around our median score: very low, low, high, and very high. And financial well-being responses were split. Slightly more than half, at 56.3%, fell into the low or very low financial well-being category, while slightly fewer than half, at 43.8%, fell into the high or very high financial well-being category. This indicates that there were nearly average and expected distributions of responses on both sides of financial well-being throughout our full sample. Unsurprisingly, families who experienced excellent financial well-being were more likely to experience overarching excellent family well-being. But the data become more interesting when we examine them by subpopulations, as you can see here on your screen. Statistically, enlisted family respondents were significantly more likely to have low or very low financial well-being scores. Meanwhile, officer family respondents were significantly more likely to have very high financial well-being scores. While financial well-being scales provide a snapshot of the overarching financial health of military and veteran family respondents, and statistical analysis reveals a relationship between financial well-being and overarching family well-being, additional questions provided depth around financial readiness. In 2023, nearly half, at 45.5% of the total population of survey respondents, made less than $75,000 per year in gross household income, including all allowances, such as BAH, for those who received them. For comparison, findings from the 2021 survey showed that 40.6% of respondents made between $25,000 and $75,000 a year in gross household income. But we dissected the 2023 data a little bit further. Of the currently serving population, 38.5% had a combined household income between $25,000 and $75,000 a year. 18% made between $25,000 and $50,000 a year. Slightly less than 50% of veteran family respondents, at 47.1%, reported making between $25,000 and $75,000 a year in gross household income, while their retiree family counterparts, 36.6%, made the same. Half, at 52.3% of retiree family respondents, reported an income above $75,000 a year. That was a lot of information. To summarize, nearly half of the total population makes less than $75,000 a year in gross household income. Veteran and currently serving populations were more commonly reporting income between $25,000 and $75,000, while retiree family respondents more commonly reported income above $75,000. When respondents were asked to elaborate on their current financial situation, half, at 51.8% of the total population, reported that they had experienced barriers to saving money in the last 2 years. In an open-ended question, respondents were asked to explain the barriers that they faced to saving money, and 5 key barriers emerged, as you can see on your screen. The cost of living and inflation, income constraints and lack of financial resources, unexpected expenses, moving and PCS, and dependents and extended family. Among the respondents who reported that rising costs of living and inflation impacted their ability to save, general increase in costs, living in a high cost of living area, rising housing costs, and increased food costs were specifically noted. Nearly 30%, at 29.5% of respondents, indicated that income constraints and lack of financial resources inhibit their ability to save. Spouse or underemployment was a common subtheme within these responses. An additional respondent shared barriers caused by unexpected expenses, such as car repairs, unspecified emergencies, home repairs, and recovering from major expenses related to natural disasters. A fourth theme emerged around PCS expenses, notably the impact of a PCS and moving expenses incurred during an OCONUS move, such as shipping pets, reimbursement delays, and taking out loans for expenses that exceed the advanced dislocation allowance. And finally, a surprising number of respondents shared that their ability to save is impacted by supporting not only dependents, but also extended family members, such as grandchildren, parents, and adult kids. Similar to years past, respondents were asked how much they had in emergency savings, and the single largest category of respondents, at 27.5%, indicated that they had $10,000 or more in an emergency savings account. But a nearly equal group, at 24.9%, indicated that they had less than $500 in emergency savings or no emergency savings at all. The remaining 47.6% of respondents fell in the middle. Of note, 45.3% of currently serving family respondents between the ranks of E1 and E3 have less than $500 in emergency savings or no emergency savings at all. The graph on the screen captures changes in emergency savings over time for the portion of respondents who have less than $500 in emergency savings. Nearly 3/4, at 66.7% of military and veteran family respondents, reported carrying a current debt when asked in our 2023 survey. This is slightly down from the 75.8% of respondents who carried debt in 2021 and the 77% of respondents who carried debt in 2019. Military and veteran family respondents who carry debt were asked to rank the types of debt from most to least stressful in 2017, 2019, 2021, and 2023. The top 5 most stressful types of debt have remained largely consistent over the past 6 years. For the first time in 2023, consumer loans ranked among the top 5 most stressful debts by our respondents. Another topic tied closely to finances and healthy futures is employment. Employment among the military-connected population has been at the center of military family well-being conversations for years, and MFAN has studied employment and unemployment since the first Military Family Support Programming Survey in 2013. In 2023, we updated our line of questioning around employment with workforce readiness indicators to better understand military spouse employment obstacles. Data from the 2023 Military Family Support Programming Survey indicate that 56.5% of active duty spouse respondents are employed, 39.1% full-time, and 17.4% part-time. 21.8% of active duty spouse respondents were unemployed and looking for work. This population is significantly more likely to report that than other subpopulations in our sample. And finally, 16.5% of active duty spouse respondents indicated that they were unemployed and not looking for work. This group most commonly cited family responsibilities and childcare availability and costs as key reasons for leaving the workforce. This data supports a widely covered finding that active duty spouse unemployment has been at or above 20% for more than a decade. The active duty spouse unemployment is especially concerning when studied in relationship with family well-being and the propensity to recommend military life. Active duty spouses who report full-time employment are more likely to report a gross household income above $75,000 and are statistically more likely to report excellent family well-being, while active duty spouses who are not employed but want to work are significantly less likely to report excellent family well-being. The 56.5% of active duty spouse respondents who were employed were significantly more likely than other subpopulations to report measures of underemployment. Underemployment refers to a situation where an employee works in a low-skill or low-paying position for which they're overqualified. Indicators of underemployment for our active duty spouse sample include insufficient hours, underutilizations of skills or experiences, difficulty finding a job that matches their needs and experiences. To add depth to the continuing conversation around active duty spouse unemployment and underemployment, MPAN included measures of workforce readiness and a deeper investigation into the obstacles to employment in the 5th iteration of our survey. Workforce readiness is a measure of potential employees' preparedness and skill to participate in the workforce. And the findings reveal that military spouse respondents prioritize employments in their households, are more educated than the US average, commonly speak English, but still face significant obstacles in their search for employment. Unemployed active duty spouse respondents, again, that 21.8%, were asked to rank employment priorities in their households. The table on the screen shows that employment priorities that were most commonly rated as high priority. These findings suggest that employment is a priority for unemployed active duty spouse respondents. Nevertheless, the largest portion of unemployed active duty spouse respondents, 26.0%, reported looking for work for more than 6 months. Survey findings also reinforce the notion that the military spouse population is highly educated. A third, at 33.9%, of active duty spouse respondents above the age of 25 held a bachelor's degree. An additional 23.9% held a master's, doctorate, or professional degree. Meanwhile, data from the Census Bureau's American Community Survey suggests that 21.6% of US adults over the age of 25 hold a bachelor's degree, and only 14% hold a graduate degree. According to our survey findings, military spouses have achieved higher education than their civilian counterparts, yet their unemployment is more than 5 times the national average. We must ask why. All active duty spouses were asked to describe the obstacles they experienced to employment in a close-ended question, and they most frequently selected the obstacles in the graphic on your screen. But to shed additional light on the intersection of employment and military life, respondents were asked to explain the impact that military life had on their employment experiences in an open-ended question. Their qualitative responses highlighted the obstacles that you see here on your screen as key themes. Unemployed active duty spouse respondents shared stories of the challenges of frequent moves, childcare affordability and availability, the demands of military life, and issues with underemployment in previous employment situations. This is particularly important as we look at that portion of active duty spouse respondents who are unemployed and no longer looking for work, who also cited that childcare affordability and availability and the demands of military life were the impetus for them to leave the workforce. The unique components of military life, like PCS, coupled with obstacles that people are facing around the country, like childcare shortages, compound to make employment a particularly challenging issue for active duty spouses. MPAN is dedicated to creating a new understanding around the full picture of spouse employment in the months and years to come. Our last core topic tied to healthy futures is transition from military life. To capture the most recent experiences about transition, MPAN asked respondents who left military service within the last 5 years what programs and resources they had utilized. The DoD Transition Assistance Program and the GI Bill rose to the top, as you can see here on your screen. Respondents were asked an open-ended question about the transition support they wished they had had. Respondents primarily focused on the Transition Assistance Program, specifically requesting higher quality assistance, seminars and in-person events focused on retirees, and better follow-through by the program. Respondents seek practical employment support, such as assistance with job searches, resume writing, placement, and career counseling. In 2023, there was a strong desire for specific assistance for military spouses as they also transition from military life. Respondents voiced the need for mental health support and additional information about TRICARE and navigating VA benefits and medical disability. And lastly, respondents sought general awareness and ease of access to support services such as SkillBridge, retiree benefits, training or certification programs, extensions of move support, financial assistance, and more in-depth online resources. Listen to this message from a military family member.
One of the first jobs that I took as a master's clinician, and I have a doctorate, I was making under $20 after my husband retired because of that gap in employment. And so it's very humbling. It can definitely affect your self-esteem when it comes to your professional credentials and capabilities. And it really alters the way that you view your military life experience.
For us, it was all about the kids, right? Because I have 3 kids. So with us moving and stuff like that, it wasn't always an easy journey to say, let me stop what I'm doing. Let me have a full career. It didn't make sense. And just to be completely honest, a lot of times I didn't even say that I was a military spouse, if we're being transparent. You know what I mean? Like, because you just don't want to have that conversation at all. You just want to be able to say, okay, I'm here, but I can also do what anyone else is doing. But you don't mention a military spouse. I don't think that I really appreciated that until you start to have that conversation with companies that are getting it now.
Hi, my name is Anna Clark, and I've been married to my active duty Navy spouse for 22 years. My biggest challenge in the military life has been reinventing the wheel every 2 to 3 years with work, with schools, with even the little things that matter, but they matter big to our children, like after school activities. And when you're in the storm or the eye of the hurricane, if we want to go back and quote Hamilton, it is exhausting, continually trying to make the best choices and do the right thing and take care of, your mental health, and your spouse's getting ready to leave and they feel just as hopeless as you do, but you continue to try to smile through it and just power through. And without MFAN, I feel like I would be very isolated and continuing to not have that outlet, or it wouldn't have provided the space for advocacy that I found myself on. And so I feel like I would be yelling into a void, or like living in a box and just that's dark and without any help. But I feel like MFAN has given me hope, and given hope for all of those of us who walk this journey and walk this life. And I'm forever grateful for this space and for what they've shown me we can do if we are working together as a team.
It means a lot to me because I have people that I love in the service, in active duty components and National Guard components. I have people that I love, and I want to know that they're going to be okay, that things that we see that are problematic are going to be heard, because at the end of the day, when they're heard, we're building a better organization. We're building something where everyone will be successful.
We have heard a lot of data today, and hopefully your wheels are turning and thinking about the ways that you can apply these findings to your own programming and support mechanisms. As this is the support programming survey, we would be remiss if we did not touch on respondents' preferred mode of participating in support programs. For example, how do our military and veteran families want to be presented with these supports and solutions? How do they want to best receive or interact with information and programs? Similar to the findings in 2021, military and veteran family respondents are most likely to want their general and mental health, as well as their children's educational resources in person. There was a slight change in the 2023 data, however, and military and veteran family respondents preferred all other resources in a hybrid format, so both online and in person. The preferred mode of support resources become more interesting and impactful when broken down by age, as you can see here on the screen. Understanding how military families want to receive or interact with information and programs is incredibly important as we look to retain the all-volunteer force. This brings us to a completely new set of findings that MFAN explored for the first time in 2023. These findings shed additional light on the propensity to recommend military life, and the full report includes topics on inspiration to join military service, expectations, morale, command climate, and retention. In this specific section, MFAN sought to better understand respondents' experiences and expectations when they entered military life and what is currently incentivizing them to stay in military service, which will really help round out our presentation today. We asked respondents to share what motivated them to join the military in the first place and to describe their expectations of military life since joining. When asked what inspired respondents, 5 key themes emerged: the benefits of military life, patriotic calling, family legacy and tradition, push factors, and intrinsic motivation. Statistical analysis on these qualitative themes revealed that when inspired to join military service by a patriotic calling, respondents were significantly more likely to report excellent family well-being. The next few questions were asked specifically of currently serving family respondents. MFAN defines currently serving family respondents as active duty service members, active duty spouses, and all Reserve and National Guard members and their spouses. So when asked about morale, nearly half of currently serving family respondents reported that their morale had decreased over time, and another 40% indicated that morale had remained consistent. When asked about the service members' level of morale for military service over the past 2 years, the majority rated their morale as moderate, whereas another 34% rated their morale as low, and 28% rated their morale as high. Morale was certainly related to family well-being, with respondents reporting a high morale for military service being significantly more likely to report excellent family well-being. When asked about chain of command, over half of currently serving family respondents said that they were satisfied with their or their service members' most immediate and current chain of command, whereas 1 in 5 currently serving family respondents were dissatisfied with their or the service member's chain of command. In another qualitative question, currently serving family respondents were asked what factors might influence their decision to leave military service. Although robust in their responses, the primary theme largely centered around career-related reasons such as overall job satisfaction and working conditions. This theme also included lack of promotion opportunities and upward mobility, financial reasons such as the perception of better pay and benefits in the civilian world, and the perception of less stress in civilian employment. Family life balance and well-being was another strong potential influence to leave military service. In this theme, currently serving family respondents express motivating factors such as freedom from deployments or other family separations, geographic stability, quality time with immediate and extended family, and educational and social stability for children. Additional factors of influence for respondents to exit military service included retirement, whether that was planned, forced, or medical, and also physical or mental health reasons, and the general allures of the civilian world, such as personal flexibility and choice. Currently serving family respondents were also asked about which benefits or factors could further incentivize their decision to stay in military service if possible and made available to them. Overwhelmingly, respondents indicated that increased pay. Now, this was inclusive of pay raises, reenlistment and retention bonuses, and perhaps performance-based pay models more comparable to the civilian world. All of these items relating to pay indicated by our respondents would be the biggest motivating factor to stay in military service, as you can see on the screen. Only 4.4% of currently serving family respondents indicated that there were absolutely no factors that would influence their decision to stay in military service, even if made available to them. Now that a wide range of aspects of military life have been explored today, we return to the question, why? Why do 57.6% of respondents recommend military service and 30.3% do not? Respondents were asked to elaborate in their own words. Those who would not recommend military life expressed the general hardships that the military life brings. For example, long deployments and separation from family, spousal employment and childcare challenges, the lack of work-life balance and unpredictable work schedules in the military, lack of personal choice, and physical and mental health impacts. Other respondents described a military culture shift, indicating that the military has lost its focus and grown weak as a fighting force due to a change in values, a lack of focus on readiness, policies, and a general lack of discipline and standards. Simply put, these respondents stress that the military is just not the same as it once was. Slightly over a quarter indicated that they felt that pay and benefits are not keeping up with the civilian world. In this theme, and seemingly throughout the 2023 data, respondents described in detail the alternative, comparable, or even better options that could be available to them in civilian life without the sacrifices of military life. Respondents to this question also indicated that they had grown weary of the politics and bureaucracy. In this specific theme, they described the general political climate, the lingering impacts of the pandemic, challenges with progression and promotions, and discussion of impending government shutdowns. Lastly, respondents to this question spoke into a general theme of differences and division. Respondents in this theme described differences in experiences between commands, duty stations, and the different branches of service. A growing enlisted officer divide describing the pay, treatment, and morale inequalities between the ranks appeared in this theme as well. Switching gears, however, there are commonalities in why respondents joined and why they would recommend service. Again, more than half, 57.6% of respondents who would recommend military service indicated that they did so because of the unique opportunities that military life offers. Respondents described their appreciation for the opportunities and experiences that come as a result of their military careers: personal growth, responsibility, adventurous assignments, traveling and living in different locations, seeing the world and experiencing different cultures. Of course, service to their country and doing something bigger than yourself all defined this top theme. Additionally, respondents indicated that they were very appreciative of the general benefits, security, and stability that comes with military service. Examples in this top theme included income, healthcare, education, and retirement. Although the respondents who would recommend military life remained positive overall about military service, new sub-themes emerged across the data in 2023. Respondents said that they would recommend military life, but with a healthy caution. In another sub-theme, respondents indicated that they would perhaps recommend short-term military service, for example, serving one contract to serve as a launching pad inclusive of helpful benefits to get started in life versus recommending an entire career in military service due to the difficult lifestyle. But we end where we began, and overall, the majority of our survey respondents would recommend military life. While this report provides multiple opportunities for improvement, it highlights the struggles and the repercussions if not righted, but it also shows the growth, the positivity, and optimism. And that concludes our data presentation for today. Now I would like to turn it back over to Shannon to share the actionable recommendations born from the findings. Shannon?
Our first recommendation is to holistically reevaluate compensation with a lens towards the compounding and persisting challenges impacting families that we discussed here today. Military compensation is evaluated and compared based on education and years of service, yet it does not fully accommodate for the nuances that we discussed. Frequent moves, living apart from a network of support, extended stays in temporary lodging, and more create a perfect storm for some families. And while benefits like education and healthcare are incredible assets, we know that too many families are struggling to meet basic needs. The full compensation must be reevaluated with the backdrop of these data points and the reality that most Americans require 2 incomes to sustain and reach financial well-being. Our second recommendation is to modernize how families serve and how they are supported. Much has changed in the world. Coming out of COVID and the pandemic environment, we have learned a lot. We also have had significant advances in technology. It is incumbent on us all to make sure that we're taking a look at how people are serving and what opportunities may exist to modernize how and from where people serve. We have to ask ourselves questions like, is it really required for military families to move as frequently as they do? What opportunities exist for flexibility? And how would some changes impact retention as well as limit the amount of spending that happens from a taxpayer perspective related to military moves? We also must learn from and look to our youngest service members and their families and understand how they want to receive support. Simply put, what worked for Gen Xers may not work for Gen Zs. And so we have to take a look at how people wish to be supported and make sure that we're adapting our solutions in a way that they will resonate and make sure that we are meeting people where they are. Our third and final recommendation is related to the interconnectedness of many issues that we discussed. We recommend the Department of Defense consider the examples set by the Department of Veterans Affairs and create a military and military family experience office. While data specific to the outcomes of the Veteran Experience Office are not yet available, our data consistently show the interconnectedness of key issues tied to the experience and well-being of those who serve and their families. These challenges do not sit with specific departments, they are connected, and we must look at them and address them in a fully integrated approach. We also recommend leveraging a whole of government approach as we tackle these complex challenges ranging from housing to healthcare. The expertise from across our government are vast and should be fully leveraged so that the solutions that we are designing are not done so in a vacuum, but with the consideration and resources that a whole of government approach can provide. And that concludes our event. Thank you so much for being here with us today. As we shared at the front, this really is the tip of the iceberg, and we look forward to sharing more research with you in the months ahead. Thank you for being here. We're grateful for you, and thank you for your commitment to serving military and veteran families.